Hey, welcome back to the AP Podcast. I'm your host, Archer Heron, with Peyton Green, and we are back with Patrick and Braden, and we are talking about the top 10 shooting guards this time.
Thanks for having me back.
No problem, guys.
Of course.
I see the jersey that Patrick has on right now. I'm just realizing that.
Oh, hold up.
Hopefully that doesn't.
I'll be back.
Hopefully he didn't put him.
Peep the sweatshirt too.
Oh, we don't really have any good
NFL.
guards, but
I'm the only one with non-basketball apparel.
yeah, hopefully Patrick's jersey doesn't, have anything to do with anyone
in the
on
text
this list, any
message,
bias.
I was he was talking to trash about James Harden. He was like a little sarcastic about it. We'll see.
I don't know how to take that, but
I feel like I know where he put James Harden, but we'll see.
I'm afraid I don't have a Dylan Brooks jersey to put on. If I did, I would completely be wearing it right now, but I got the go behind me, so I think we're all good.
There you go. All right,
Especially if
so
we're talking about shooting guards.
yeah, so our top 10 shooting guards. This is more based on their rankings after the 1920 season. So there are some injured guys that we have on this list. Clay, we are including. We're also including who else? DeMar DeRozan,
Victor Oladipo,
Paul George,
Victor Oladipo, Paul George, all
Luka
those guys.
was a point guard. We said D'Lo was a point guard too. I know we kind of had some arguments about that.
I had to take him off my list because I had him.
Yeah, because he's kind of the piece of point guard in Minnesota, but he did play. And with the Warriors, he would have if he played with Steph and they all stayed healthy.
He would have been a shooting guard.
Shooting guard there, but he's a point guard now. So.
All right. Well, Peyton, if you want to go ahead and start us off at honorable mentions.
All right, so let's start with some honorable mentions. Now, this was tough, I will say. I had a couple guys left over that I kind of wish were on this list, but I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, DeMar DeRozan, and Lou Will.
DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar, I just think his game's honestly just archaic. He can't shoot. He doesn't shoot. He can't shoot from three, and that's why the Spurs aren't winning because they don't take enough threes. So he's not going to benefit them in that. If he was surrounded by shooters, maybe he'd be higher up. Shai's just a really young, great player, but he's not quite as established as these guys. Or really, I guess I'm not going to fault him for having Chris Paul on his team, but I feel like he's more of a point guard, honestly, than a shooting guard. But I really like Shai, I guess, in the long run. And then Lou Will is just an established guy that I think is incredible, especially off the bench.
Yeah.
But some guys that I left off honorable mentions, I just want to mention really fast. C.J. McCollum, R.J. Barrett, and Karis LeVert. C.J. McCollum, I'm going to be honest, he's
not even on your
playoffs
list.
against the Pelicans, he kind of got clamped. He shot 35% when Lillard really needed him.
You're not basing the whole list off how they play against the Pelicans, are you?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Dude, okay, then Drew Holiday would be number one because he clamps all these guys. Honestly, CJ, he gets bullied by every other shooting guard that plays him. He's not big enough. He's not good at defense, and this year he's honestly struggled to perform when they needed him.
All right.
I know that was kind of my big hot take. I try to have a couple hot takes per.
What was your hot take? I missed it
because I'm not trying to keep my list the same.
C.J. McCollum off the list. That was your hot take.
He's not even
an honorable mention. Wow.
I mean,
not an honorable.
I mean,
I don't know how I feel about that.
Is it a dishonorable mention?
He's not an all-star player.
Not an all. A lot of these guys are not all-stars.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these guys are closer to being all-stars than him, and I also it's just generally I don't think he makes that Blazers team better compared to I just don't see the value in having CJ on the defensive end with Lillard, who also kind of struggles on defense.
Yeah, I get that for sure.
Turner worked so well last year, and kind of just even the year before that. I know they overpaid him, but he was a good defender.
Yeah, that Blazers team always needs some good defensive
and
forwards.
They haven't had that this year, and that's why I have to knock CJ for it because they need a guard to play defense.
For sure, feel you there. All right, I guess I'll go ahead and go with my honorable mentions. And before we get started on the whole list, I think that this list has the most room to fluctuate because, in my opinion, shooting guard's the weakest position in the league. Just based off the guys we have on our list, it's a deep position, but the top tier shooting guards are not on the same level as say the best point guards, the best small forwards. But yeah. So I just wanted to say that before I start. So honorable mentions. I had four guys. I said Karis LeVert was 14 for me. I late entry, put Lou Will in at 13. Y'all convinced me. And then I did have CJ McCollum at 12, and then I had DeMar at 11. For Karis LeVert, he definitely improved a lot this season, but he saw a lot of career highs, like points, boards, assists, three-point percentage. But the question is, what will his production be like when the Nets are fully healthy and get Kyrie and KD back? He could be a trade piece because they want to go after a third star. I've seen, like maybe Bradley Beal. But he's also struggled with injuries. I don't know. I'm not too sure about how high his ceiling is. But
50 points is a pretty good ceiling, I'd say.
yeah, but I don't know.
He's also dropped 50. So
yeah, and he did that without Kyrie and KD on the court. That Nets team this year, it was just a weird situation. And then Lou Will at 13. I didn't really write anything down for him, but one of the best like scorers off the bench in the league, perennial 6th man of the year, candidate, but he doesn't start. He does a lot better off the bench, and that really makes people forget about him, makes him underrated. CJ McCollum at 12. Great scorer from all 3 levels. Peyton, you touched on it a bit. Defensively, he's not really making any noise. I think he is a good sidekick to Dame, but like I said earlier, they're going to need like good defensive forwards to kind of account for their defense. But they were just like so injury depleted this season, and they wouldn't have really made the playoffs anyway, I don't think. And then DeMar DeRozan I had at 11. He's a great scorer, great defender, but the lack of the 3-point shot is really crucial. And he's just a guy that I kind of feel bad for. He's been in the wrong place at the wrong time, especially in Toronto. He was a part of some good like Raptors teams in the last few years. We could never take down LeBron. And then he's traded right to the West when LeBron signed to the Lakers in the West. And that year, Toronto won the finals without him. So, you got to feel bad for the guy, but he could never really get anything going in San Antonio with Aldridge or Popovich in the mighty West either. But, yeah, just wrong place, wrong time. Seems like a good guy. I want to see him succeed, though. But
yeah, me too. One thing I would like to add really fast, with the Nets, we counted Spencer Dinwiddie as a point guard, I would say, even though we also had Kyrie there. So that's why he's not necessarily on this list.
All right.
Yeah, so for mine, I like Beach had for 13, I had Karis LeVert for the exact same reasons. For number 12, I had Jaylen Brown. Even though I think he's a dual position small forward and shooting guard, I just think, okay, what's so wrong about that?
Yeah, Peyton's reaction.
Just keep going.
I'll talk about Jaylen Brown when I get there.
Peyton, I know you don't like Jaylen Brown, but I don't know why. Probably because he got clamped against the Pelicans.
No,
but I mean,
no, he's saying he's on his list later. He's saying he's better.
He's
okay. Well, see, I didn't know where to put him as a shooting guard or a small forward because this year he played small forward. So
he's a shooting guard.
No, he started at shooting guard. Marcus Smart came off the bench.
Yeah,
and then I had Hayward and Tatum.
And then I had Lou Williams as well, 6-man beast, averaging 31 minutes off the bench. Incredible, but yeah. So.
All right. Well, my honorable mentions were Shea. I didn't really rank them like you guys, like 14, 13, 12. These are just kind of some guys, but
yeah,
I had Shea just because of his potential, and he had a really – I kind of want to say breakout season. He can definitely get better, but he had he's on a lot of people's radars, and he proved that he can play really well. I also have Karis LeVert. I think that Kyrie being out, he kind of stepped up and helped that Nets team a lot. And especially when KD and Kyrie are back in full health, I think they'll be a force. And Karis LeVert will be a helpful piece of that. Unless, like you said, they might trade him if that's a possibility for another star.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also had Buddy Hield. He didn't make my list just because I feel like he's kind of just empty points. I know there's a lot of shooting guards that are like that, but I just feel like he doesn't produce. All he does is score when a lot of the guys on this list they score a lot, but they can also facilitate. They can also play defense. He just doesn't have it all, so that's why I have him off.
Buddy Hield I actually didn't even have in my extension to the honorable mentions.
Really?
Same. I didn't have him in my honorable mentions. Didn't really consider him.
Yeah, I've heard at the end of the season he had a pretty hot stretch, so I thought he deserved a little bit of a mention just because he does put up crazy numbers from a scoring perspective, but he doesn't exactly wow from any other position on the court.
Yeah, and if you get benched for Bogdan Bogdanovic, I think that speaks measures.
Yeah, maybe that's why I didn't make the top 10. And like you said, this is a really weak position. Like there's guys on here that aren't even starting.
Yeah,
So-
I think like if we made a list of like the top 10 to 15 players in the NBA, there'd probably be only like one true shooting guard on that list
Yeah,
that I
true
can
shooting
think of.
guard.
Yeah,
Because I mean, even
but I don't
some of
know.
these guys that we have on here aren't true shoot. Like Shea's really kind of a point guard. Drew
Mhm.
Holiday's played point guard and shooting guard.
Position wise,
He plays small forward as well. I mean, just Harden's played point guard a little bit. Donovan Mitchell played point guard a little bit. All these great players on this list mostly like aren't true shooting guards.
yeah, and the
Yeah,
game is evolving into like a positionless game, and we're gonna see this for like every single position that we do.
Yeah. All right, so you want to go ahead and kick us off at 10, Peyton?
Yeah, I've got Victor Oladipo. And the only reason I have him, I guess, I mean, some people might put him a little higher. Some people wouldn't put him on the list just because of his injuries, like scare, I guess. But I do think Oladipo can bounce back from it. I just think it's a matter of when he's going to bounce back from it. The only thing I'm scared of is I feel like this is almost the same situation that DeMarcus Cousins had with the Pelicans and that torn Achilles. He was out for that year, and they offered him that $40 million contract. He rejected it, and over the summer they didn't offer him again. He signed with the Warriors and got immediately injured again. And so I would say I want to see him play a little bit more before I know he's not going to get injured again.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think he's a solid player, and he's proven that he's a great player. I mean, even when he was with the Magic, Orlando was like great, and he had hit some game winners, but Orlando wasn't great. He was great in Orlando. I want to rephrase that. But yeah, as the Thunder, he struggled a little bit, but he was really good in Indiana's first year. I just hope he gets healthy. But I do have to kind of knock him for the injury risk, as well as potentially some lost touch and athleticism, because he didn't really end the year that well.
All right. My number 10 guy, I had Zach LaVine. I'm very sorry, Archer.
Okay,
But
that's pretty
you
low.
know, well, yeah, okay. Zach LaVine, he's a great scorer, very clutch. He's one of the best, one of the most athletic dudes in the game right now, probably the best dunker in the league. So he's a really fun guy to watch, but he's really just not there defensively. He is having the best year of his career, and he's putting up really good numbers, which is why I couldn't exclude him from this list. But the Bulls sucked this year with him as a number one guy, and that's why he's so low on my list. I know you guys talked about this on a podcast a few days ago, but in my opinion, Zach LaVine can't have the success of the number one guy on a team, no matter his supporting cast.
Really?
But the Bulls are not a bad team, like talent-wise. Like, they have good players, but they just struggle to put everything together, and they also struggle with injuries.
Yeah.
So hopefully after shaking up the front office, they can either acquire a better star to pair with LaVine with everyone healthy. Maybe they could do something in the East. But personally, I don't think Chicago is a place for him. I think he would have more success as a 2 or 3 option somewhere else.
Yeah, I kind of actually agree with that a little bit. I love Zach, and I have him pretty high on my list, but he does kind of not fit in with Chicago. It almost seems like he doesn't even want to be on the team sometimes. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he got traded. Or when his contract was up, he decided to not come back.
I remember when he almost signed with Sacramento, and then he was a restricted free agent, and Chicago matched it.
I do not
remember that.
That would have been him and De'Aaron.
That would be cold.
And
yeah,
De'Aaron, I really like. De'Aaron, I'm really high on. I know
next to like a defensive guy like Fox. I don't know. That could have been something. But
I mean, the Kings are good already too. It's not like the Kings are bad. Like, they're making a push for the playoffs.
All right, Patrick.
Yeah. So for my 10, I had a tie between Shai and Debo. Yeah. I couldn't really decide.
And who?
D-Book?
No, Debo. Oladipo.
Yeah, you scared me for a second.
You put Oladipo that low.
No, yeah, just because of the injuries. But a lot of people forget he was an absolute baller in the 2017-28 season, putting up 23 points a game, league leader in steals, shooting 50% from the field, like insane numbers. And he just got hurt out for 2 years. And I just don't know how his potential will be. And rejecting an $80 million contract with a pretty, solid fan base, not really, but pretty small market team. And I just think he's making the wrong decision because I just don't know how many other teams are willing to pay an injury-prone player $80 million. And then, so that's why I had him so low. And then Shai, obviously, one of the most clutch shooters in the league, and and averaging 23 points a game. It's pretty solid. Just had to put him up there.
Yeah.
But he averaged 23. Shea?
I think his career high is like 29.
Yeah, let me take a look.
Oh, he's averaging 19.
That's more like it. He still had a
He's
still
still
had a
good.
good season.
Don't get me wrong.
19 is good.
I know y'all saw my tweet though about that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I didn't
What do
actually.
you guys think about that? Ja or Shea?
I did actually see
You
that.
already
I did
know
see
where
that.
I'm going. I think
I
think
think-
Shea's really underrated, but
I think it's a
definitely
little
good.
too early in both their
I
careers
think
to
it's
really
too
give
early
that
because Shea
verdict.
can't shoot the three at all, and I feel like he can.
And he
Develop.
can't play make either.
Shea's
He's not a good playmaker.
Yes,
He averaged like
Yeah,
2
yeah.
assists.
He-
That's not a part of his game.
He was good in LA at passing and with Kentucky. He's a good passer.
I
He
think
can
he's-
be a good passer.
Yeah,
think-
but compared to Ja Morant too, like
I mean,
Ja's averaging almost 8
Yeah.
assists in his rookie year. We haven't seen what he's gonna do in the second year yet. We already
Josh
see what.
also plays the point though. I think it's tough to compare him right now. I want to
That's
see
what I said.
Shea be the leader of his team because he'd be averaging more points if he was shooting all those shots. I mean, granted, Chris Paul doesn't take a lot of shots, but still, I think he'd have more points, of course, if he was the point guard as well as more assists. It's very close.
For all the young guys, time's just gonna tell. I think we all know
I mean, outside of
who's gonna be
Zion,
better though.
yeah, like he's the clear number one.
We all know, of course.
Outside of Zion,
Goes
can't
out
wait for the
to
Power
top
Forwards
10.
episode.
Yeah, dude. Peyton, I swear he's gonna have Zion
Bro,
at
Ingram
one.
and Zion are top two. Stacks.
All right, where are we? Where are we?
I did Laurie's 3. All right.
You're at 10.
For my 10, I had Oladipo. Just honestly, like his talent is incredible, but the injuries are kind of really the biggest reason he's here. And also, I don't know about that move with turning down that contract. Like Patrick said, he's not going to be able to find anywhere that's going to pay him a lot more than that, especially with those injuries. But I think that he hasn't broken that like superstar barrier yet, but he has the ability to if he can stay healthy. So that's why I have him at 10.
Yeah, I do want to say one thing though about Oladipo really fast. Is he a free agent this year? Right after the season? Next year.
It's next year.
I'm not sure. Patrick, do you know?
Contract?
Not sure. I think it's next year.
Look it up. Hold up. I'll look it
Could
up.
be wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I think they offered him the extension.
Okay.
'cause,
Yeah.
4-year, $80 million sounds right.
Yeah. I don't think that free agency class is the strongest free agency class in the world. This year's is worse, but these next 2 years, like of free agency,
Doesn't 2021 have Giannis and Kawhi though?
that's like it's very top heavy, and then it kind of falls off.
That's fair. I haven't really looked at that much.
Versus this last year, 2/3 of the NBA changed teams. So you have a lot of variation. Not changed team, but had to sign a new contract. And so I would just say that he might not get that much money, but like he also has a year to prove himself, as well as a weaker free agent class, not the weakest, a weaker one. And so I guess we'll go ahead and move on to 9 really fast. I've got Zach LaVine. I like Zach LaVine a lot. Personally, I do think that he can lead, I guess, the Bulls. He does need a really good second option, though, and a really good one would be someone that's a good passer as well as a good defender. And I don't know if Kobe White's the best passer or the best defender, so we'll see where that
He's
goes.
not a bad passer, I have to say. He doesn't
but-
have many people to pass to.
Another thing I would like to add about Zach LaVine is there were a lot of injuries this year, which is why he's taking a lot more shots, but also a reason why the Bulls weren't doing as well. And you could really argue either way that benefited or hurt him. But I personally think it kind of hurt him. You know, it's tough to keep morale when you got different guys in the lineup every night.
Yeah, the Bulls have been killed by injuries the last few years.
Just the injury plague kind of hit
Yeah,
him.
Lowry out
I
this
really do
year.
like Zach LaVine,
Like,
and I think
it was rough.
he
Otto
is-
Porter.
he's still pretty young, and he's incredibly athletic. He's a great 3-point shooter. All the potential's there. He just needs to find the right situation, or the Bulls need to figure some stuff out this summer.
Yeah, I think once a respectable coach gets in office, it'll be a lot better.
Yeah, Jim
Jim
Boylan's got to
Boylan,
go.
Like, it's not even that he's an awful coach. It's just that the culture that he's
None
made
of the
there.
players
like non-existent.
respect him.
There's no respect.
know.
They need a veteran coach. They've got a lot of young guys. and they
When
need
you
to-
call a timeout with 2 seconds left and you're down 30, it's like so stupid.
Hear me out. David Fizdale should go to the Bulls.
I like David Fizdale.
He brought the Grizzlies to the playoffs, and they just didn't give him enough time. And in New York, but I feel like what the Bulls need is a player's coach, and I think David Fisher is one of those
we need
player coaches
we
out
have
there.
so many young guys. We need the help there. So as
Yeah,
long as we get a guy who can develop them, it'll be great.
I would say
He's a
one
guy
other
that-
coach Archer brought up, though, when we were talking about it in one of the previous pods, was Kenny Atkinson. Just because of what he did with the Nets and helping out all those young guys. So I honestly see Kenny Atkinson, Fizdale. Honestly, I don't know if Detroit's going to fire Dwayne Casey or not, but if they do, I think he would be a good fit just because of I feel like they need passing. Chicago's so isolation heavy that they need someone to kind of preach
We
passing.
do need a real playmaker. Like I think that Zach can
I feel
facilitate.
like all those guys can be
but-
made playmakers. They're just not in a good system for
Yeah.
it.
You can always
All
bring back Fibs too. Maybe not. Probably not.
Zach Levine's knees, probably not.
Yeah. All right, Patrick, you want to go ahead and say yours?
Already have the injuries anyway. Wait, are we on 9?
Uh-huh.
I
Or
think I
no,
was up.
it's Braden, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's B. Sorry.
Okay, my number 9, I had Victor Oladipo. I like Victor Oladipo, but he's a weird case. A lot of uncertainty with him. He's a great 3-level scorer. He's a really athletic guy. He's an all-defensive talent, and he's an all-star caliber player, but that's when he's healthy. His last few years have been ravaged by injury, and we haven't seen him full strength in like 2 seasons, I think. And when he did return this year, I think it was like for 13 games, but I'm not 100% sure. He didn't look like the 2017, 2018 most improved Victor Oladipo that almost took down LeBron and company in the playoffs that year. Granted, he was a little rusty when he returned this year, and maybe he could have gotten back to the VO that we know if the season hadn't gotten canceled. But like I said, it's been like 2 years since we've seen a healthy Victor Oladipo. But, hey, the Pacers still have faith in him. They did offer him that. I know we've talked about that contract, the 4-year, $80 million deal. I don't think I would have offered that $20 million a year for an injury-prone guy coming off that quad injury. It's pretty risky. But, I mean, he feels like he's worth it, so hopefully we can get to see him full strength again. And I'll end with this. If we were talking about that fully healthy, most improved Victor Oladipo, he would be much higher on my list, like maybe around the 3 or 4 mark. But we aren't.
That's
So,
That is high.
yeah, no. Like, y'all don't remember that year.
He was
balled out.
he was insane.
He was playing so well. Like, he made me like the Pacers that year. I don't know. But,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
The Pacers are pretty boring to watch, honestly.
Thank you.
All right, Patrick, moving on to you.
Yeah, so for my number 9, I had DeMar DeRozan. I know that the league is changing 3-pointers, and he's literally his 3-point average is horrible. It's like 27%. But I mean, he's putting up insane numbers. He's putting up 6 boards, 6 rebounds, or 6 boards, 6 assists, and 22 points a game. Like, he's been putting 20 points a game up for the past 8 years, and like, I don't think he's a bad player. I just think like the players around him in San Antonio just haven't given him the push or whatever, because he balled out in Toronto. Like, he made the All-Star team 3 years in a row with Toronto. So I mean, I just think he's a good player, and I don't think he's like that good, but I think he has potential still to be like a league leader in scoring.
I would say he doesn't have a lot of compliments to go along with one. Just none of the Spurs players benefit his play style. They're all the exact same as him. Not
And
a
they
great
took him away.
three-pointer, a ton of athletic guys, and it's just like him and LaMarcus Aldridge are 2 guys that rely so heavily on the mid-range.
Mhm.
It's gonna be hard to win in today's NBA.
And they took him away from his boy Kyle Lowry. That made me sad.
Kyle Lowry's my dog.
That's
Kyle
when real men
Lowry's
cried.
5-point guard in the NBA.
All right. Is it my turn?
Number 9.
All right, I'm sorry. I
If
turned
you're
the
ready.
lights on. All right, my 9, I had Jaylen Brown. I just like, don't get me wrong, he's like grown amazingly because he had a big contract extension, but a lot of people thought it was a mistake. Like, you don't sign to that. He's not worth it. And then all of a sudden, he's really producing, and it's not even like he has the ability to do almost everything. It's kind of like a mental barrier that he's breaking, almost like. I don't know. He's had the ability to, like, his 3-point percentage has gone up really high, and he doesn't shoot like an incredible amount every game, but he hits the spot ups pretty consistently. Like, he has a 38% 3-point, which is pretty good. I mean, it's above the league average.
It's about Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. Well, what?
A little lower.
You had to bring up a Pelican. Why?
That's the comparison point for like half of these players.
For you. I think his quickness is like up there with some of the best in the league. Like, if you watch his highlights, he just moves so fast. It's amazing.
Athletic dude.
Yeah, he's
He's
very athletic. And one thing that he needs is his turnovers. He averages a good amount of turnovers, and just he's kind of careless with the ball. And like last season, he had more turnovers than assists, which is not good. And I think if he can learn to kind of like be a little bit more careful with it and more confident with the ball, he can evolve into a annual All-Star like every year. He could be one of those guys. So we'll just have to see what happens from here on out. But I think he has a lot of potential to be great.
I agree with that. And that's why I had Jaylen Brown at 8. I really like Jaylen Brown. I think he's relatively underrated just because he's on the Celtics. A lot of guys need shots on that team, and it's kind of hard to get him shots when
Did you guys get that? Running out of time. This meeting will end in 10 minutes.
Oh, well, you have to change it to like unlimited minutes. I don't know how to do that, but that's how you do it. But yeah, I'll just continue on Jaylen Brown while Archer stares at us. So Jaylen Brown, basically.
I don't want to pay $13. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
I think he could be a perennial All-Star as well. I'm a big fan of his game. He's super athletic, great shooter. He's developed his shooting a lot this year. His mid-range game's elite. His step backs, elite. Just everything about the man is elite. His potential is elite, except for the turnovers, of course, that Archer brought up, which I honestly didn't even realize watching him this year. But I will say it's tough to kind of gauge him against some of these guys above him just because he doesn't have to lead a team like a lot of the guys ahead of him, which is why I couldn't put him higher. But I'm super high on Jaylen Brown. I really do think he could be a perennial All-Star in a couple of years when him and Tatum develop. I'm big fans of that Celtics team in general with those two guys at their core. That's why I had Jaylen at 8.
All right. Beach.
Yep. My was Jaylen Brown also. He's another guy who improved a ton this season. He showed that he can pretty much do anything that's needed of him on the court, kind of like what you said, Archer. He's one of the most efficient scorers in the league at his position, too, and he can defend really well. There were even people saying that he should have been an All-Star this year, but I think if Bradley Beal didn't make the All-Star game, then Jaylen Brown definitely
shouldn't have.
Yeah. But, yeah, he's on a great team. The Celtics playing with a great scorer in Jason Tatum and another scorer in Kemba Walker, if you want to call him that. But he's still giving you 20 points a night, and he's still improving. And also he's faced a lot of adversity this season. There was a lot of pressure this year on him when the Celtics gave him that 4-year, $115 million contract extension, which is a huge bag for a guy who only averaged 13 points the season before. And everyone was all, oh, the Celtics are so stupid. Jaylen Brown's so overpaid.
He's proving them wrong.
Yeah, but Jaylen went out there, and he proved that he was worth it. I still don't know if almost $29 million a year on average is the smartest move, but it certainly is not as bad as people were saying earlier. But I guess Celtics really see something special in him, and I'm all for that.
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't put him higher is because we've only seen this for 1 year, and like Peyton said, there's a lot of other guys above him that are, taking the reins of the team, and they're leading the team. But next year he could explode again. Go average damn near 25 points a night, or on the flip side of the season could have been a fluke, and he could go back to average 13 points per game. But yeah, we're just gonna have to see more consistency for me to move him up. But yeah, Jaylen Brown's a guy I really like.
Yeah. All right, Patrick.
Yeah, for 8 I had CJ McCollum. Just because I think he's criminally underrated in the fact that he's I think he's a really good three-point shooter. Shooting 39% is not bad. He's never dropped below 38% his entire career. He's a corner specialist. He has one of the highest mid-range efficiencies in the league. He has a 51% finishing at the rim, which is better than Karis LeVert, Malcolm Brogdon, DeJounte Murray, other pretty solid players like that. And even he shows his playoff ability, like last year in the Western semifinals in the 4 overtime game against the Nuggets when he dropped 37 and 58% shooting. I just think he's very underrated in the light of Damian Lillard, and I think he could be he could one day maybe play the role of a Dame in a team, but that's why I
don't
have
that. Just let me know when he dunks on LeBron like Jaylen Brown does.
That one time. All right.
Okay. Well, Jaylen Brown also has.
I just think he's criminally underrated.
CJ's also a tiny dude. I don't know if he got that in his
doesn't
bag.
play any defense.
How tall is CJ actually?
think like 6'2".
He's
Maybe
6'3".
smaller.
He's just a defensive liability.
He's 6. I mean, he's averaging 0.6 blocks a game, so he's not exactly a defensive
6'3" as a
liability.
shooting guard is pretty undersized too.
Yeah.
It's just think about it though. With all those great point guards, as well as some of these great shooting guards on this list, Dame's not going to guard the number one guy because he's got to produce on offense. So CJ's got to guard him, and he's going to get destroyed.
Yup.
He's not quick enough, and he's not big enough.
All
To
right.
play some of these premier wing guys.
Well, I have for my number 8. I also have CJ McCollum. I think that he is really underrated. I agree with Patrick.
Two
And
casuals.
I also think that he doesn't use like his athleticism more than he uses his like skill almost.
Because he's not athletic.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. But he still
Oh,
does
he's
some.
athletic
He
enough to be in the
produces and
NBA.
he can shoot really well. And yes, his defense needs work. A lot of these guys, their defense needs work. So I think that putting his 3-point percentage and the fact that he is not the first option on his team either. And I think
True.
that if he were to get traded, I honestly think that he could be successful. And I mean, I just feel like he hasn't really been given the reins to anything. Like he's just kind of been like in the background producing, but not like in a crazy amount. Nobody talks about CJ McCollum that much. Just like
For a good reason.
yeah.
I think look if he.
Dude,
I don't.
Peyton hates CJ McCollum.
It's not bad. He's not big enough to guard any other like decently large guard. And
I mean, yeah,
Dame
but he
can guard.
also, I mean, his offensive production is great for his size as well. I mean, he can shoot really well. Like,
Yeah, he's a guy like Zach LaVine. I don't think that he's gonna. I think he needs like a good defensive guard next to him.
I think Zach Levine's a little bit better.
I'm not saying he's like. I'm saying like play style.
Okay,
Not
yeah,
play style,
I get
but,
that.
Like,
But
yeah,
I
you
feel
know
like
what
if
I mean?
Zach Levine went to another team in the NBA, he could be the number one guy. I don't think CJ could.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
He might.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but I don't think Zach.
Can't be a
I don't. I. Yeah.
compared
I don't think either of them could be a number one guy, but
Yeah.
I think CJ could possibly be a number one. I don't know. I mean,
if Zach LaVine can't, I don't think CJ can.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all in retrospect. I think he if Zach LaVine went to the Players or the Pacers, he would definitely be the number one player. Like,
I know, but would they be?
I'm
Would
sure
they be that good?
I think they would be a better team they are now. Yes.
Yeah, I think Zach Levine could definitely lead them. I don't think CJ McCollum could.
No, because we have enough of whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
and he doesn't have the playmaking ability that you kind of need from him. All right, so we're gonna move up to 7. This is the upper echelon of guys for me. This is where it breaks off.
this
from
is stepping into Drew Holiday territory for
Yeah,
Peyton.
basically. So this is where you cut off like these young guys with potential that are like pretty solid, and you start to get into some of the more big time candidates for honestly this number one spot. Although it's kind of on lock, I think we all have. I have Bradley Beal at 7. Once again, underrated.
That's low.
It was just
That's
tough.
low, dude. That is so low.
It was just tough for me to put him up there. I feel like Bradley Beal this year, he's performed well, but he really needs John Wall back. And I feel like these last 2 years without him has hurt. His
That's not
production
his
is
fault,
gone up.
though.
It's not his fault, but he needs a point guard to succeed. In these last 2 years, he hasn't succeeded. And with this Wizards team, like it's not the best in the world, but I do think that him not having the playmaking ability to make this team better is what's kind of hurting him. Because it's not
Everson,
like
6 assists, isn't he?
I still think that his playmaking ability is
On an
hurting
awful team.
more than.
Sorry, boys.
It says we got
Still
less.
think
than a minute
That was
left.
my timer because
don't know.
it says
I-
remaining meeting time 2 minutes, so I don't want the
You can ex-
recording to get lost. It says I have to upgrade to Pro, which is $150.
How did we do it last time?
I don't know.
Extended it. Yeah,
I mean-
it's whatever. I really like Beal. I just think the guys. This is not supposed to be a knock against Beal. I could interchange him with 3 guys in front of him, and feel like that's fair. I don't see Beal being better than these guys, and he doesn't have the potential that some of these other guys have, and he doesn't succeed in some of the areas that some of these other guys do ahead of him.
Okay.
So that's why I have him lower. He's kind of a one-dimensional player.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about him a little
All
later.
right. Boys,
Uh,
I know. All right, we're back from our break, and Beach, you are on 7. Go ahead.
Alrighty. My number 7, I had Donovan Mitchell, which might sound like pretty low for him, but he's
Oh my God, bro, that's
Donovan Mitchell. He's also a great scorer, and he's improving defensively. He came into the league right away. He picked up where Gordon Hayward and Utah left off, and he's led the Jazz to the playoffs all 3 years that he's been in the league as a number one option. But this year the Jazz were great as they snagged the 4th seed in the mighty West. But Donovan, he does have an incredible supporting cast alongside him with Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, elite sharpshooter, scorer, Bojan Bogdanovic, defensive-minded veteran point guard leader, Mike Conley, clutch shooter, competitive bench guy, Joe Ingles, and then Jordan Clarkson. Like, I could go on. I'm not discrediting Donovan Mitchell at all, but I'm saying that, like, if he switched places with a guy like Devin Booker, who's later on my list, I really don't think that the Suns would be better. So if I'm picking between, like, Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell to build around, I'm taking Booker because I think that the only reason that Mitchell's been more successful is because of his great teammates, and Booker has been the better player, which is why I have Devin Booker higher. But it was a really tough decision for me. I think they're really close, like, in my eyes. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
I would say that I don't think if you put Booker on the Jazz, they'd be in the same place they are now.
Okay, Kyrie at 10.
Kyrie at 10 was perfect because guess what? He would win on one of the best teams in the league in Boston.
But yeah, that's
Great
just what I'm
players, great
thinking.
players.
And it wouldn't be an AP podcast without a little bit of
Facts.
controversy.
You gotta have some hot takes sometimes.
So I had to mix up something in there.
Hey, I had
Yeah.
Beal at 7, so
Couldn't be generic.
you know.
Yeah, you
Honestly,
had Beal at 7, so like you're just as much as a fault.
I mean, yeah, I can't argue with that. But I do think if you put Donovan on the Suns, they'd be a bit more competitive. I don't see the Suns like it. I want to see Booker prove that he knows how to win instead of just putting up big numbers. Like they celebrate him scoring 70 when they lose by like 10.
Okay, I'm gonna when I get to Devin
I
Booker,
just think
I'll
as a winner.
Yeah,
as a
let's wait
winner,
till you get to Devin Booker.
Yeah.
So for my 7, because the order got kind of messed up, I had Drew
the
Holiday.
faces is kind of, that's a little low.
Drew Holiday.
Peyton,
Yeah.
you didn't even know you're gonna put him on the list.
Yeah, I had Drew Holiday because I know like the past couple of years he's been averaging pretty high numbers, like 19 points, 21, 20. Like he's been putting up some solid numbers, 7 assists, 5 boards, okay shooting numbers, shooting 45%. But he is averaging 3 turnovers a game, which is pretty high.
He's the main ball handler when Lonzo's not on the court.
Okay, so even still, 3 turnovers a game, it's pretty hefty. I think he's only been an All-Star once in his entire career. So I mean, I had him above C.J. McCollum and DeMar DeRozan just because of that, but I don't think he could go any higher on my list.
So
I don't
some of the
think-
guys above on your list, do you think they play defense at all? Just a question. Like, maybe like Booker and Beal, do they play as good a defense?
Peyton, he's only averaging like 1.4 steals a game, and
Oh, wait. So
Defense
how
goes
many
much
points,
deeper than
how
steals,
many,
though.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
how many points
that's true.
did Damian
That's true.
Lillard average when they played them? Oh, yeah, that's
that's
like 12.
one
Yeah.
sample size. That's
All
one
right,
sample.
what percentage did he shoot? Oh, yeah, that's right. 34.
Okay,
well,
but you can't say one matchup, but like you can't say that
That's 4 games.
Drew Holiday is
Okay.
Who had,
just a
who
bad
had
defender.
6 steals? Who had 6 steals against the
I
Clippers
always refer back to Drew Holiday's 2 for 24 shooting game as
as a rookie with the Sixers, right?
Yes, I always got to refer back to that.
I think out of all the guys left on my list, Drew Holiday is probably like impact wise, like kind of top
He's
there.
up there.
But I mean, I don't think 7. I think
I
7's
agree.
low,
I agree.
but
He's
think-
an incredible defender. I just don't know if has any. I also did a little bit of potential on my list as well, and he's pretty old. Yeah, I mean he's only 29, but I mean I don't know how
Also,
many.
as a passer, he's just a much more rounded player than a lot of the guys ahead of him.
But like with the Pelicans are starting to be kind of a pretty solid team coming up, and I don't know how it'll perform with Zion, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo. Like,
You've already watched it. He averaged 20 this season.
but okay, Zion only played for like half the season, so
But I don't think his numbers dropped. I'm gonna be honest.
they drop it a little bit, but
Okay, yeah, you have that in front of you.
We'll get to that.
Well, yeah, we'll get there.
Again.
I'm sunburned, and I just did not. I played basketball of it today. I'm pretty sunburned, low key.
Dude, I got burnt really bad last
Yeah,
week.
your face
All
is
over my
almost
neck
the
and
same
back.
color as your hair, Peyton.
Bro, I know that's what I said, bro. It's not good.
All right. So for me at 7, I had DeMar DeRozan. I kind of think you guys. I mean, don't get me wrong, his shooting is awful, but every other facet of the game, he's up there, like 6 assists, 6 rebounds, and he's pretty clutch. I mean, he's had. I do think that the situation he's been in his entire career has been pretty subpar. I mean, he leaves Toronto, they get a championship, and now he's on the Spurs, and they can't get anything really going. But I think that his ability to play defense, his playmaking is pretty good. His rebounding is really good, and I think that's a pretty underrated part of his game. And combining all those, I think that he deserves a little bit higher list than you guys put him. But that's why I have him up there.
7? This is your 7th?
What? Yeah, he's my 7th.
Oh, okay. Well, I just think the lack of a 3-point shot, because we really bashed Ben Simmons for that in the last podcast that I was in. But the 3-point shot is really crucial. And then I think if you can't make the playoffs with Greg Popovich as your coach, I think that says a lot. But yeah, I mean, DeMar's a great player. He's in my.
We still had Ben Simmons really high, and it's not like I'm putting him top 5. I do think that the 3-point shooting is a detriment. That's why he's a 7. But if he had a 3-point shot, he would be 4 or 3. Like, he'd be really high.
I don't know about 4 or 3. I would just like to
be up there on my list.
No, it's not even worth it. When we get to Drew Holiday, we get to Drew Holiday. But at number 6, I've got Devin Booker. Him and Beal, I feel like, are kind of in the same category. Booker's just younger, so that's why I put him up a little bit higher. I understand Beal's more established, but Booker is so much more, I guess, kind of potential in the future to lead this team. And I really think that these last couple of years, being a Sun in general, so a pretty bad team, he's really had to learn how to be a leader for these guys. And I really think he's starting to fill into that role. And I love Monty Williams as a coach. I think he's going to be fantastic for Booker. He's really good with working with, like, younger stars, like he did with AD, and just kind of developing them. He's worked with them through USA Basketball. I really like Devin Booker's situation going into the future. I just think right now he's not quite as established on the defensive end or in any other areas of his game as the guys in front of him. He also hasn't won as much in the playoffs at all. He hasn't even been. But one thing I would say about Devin Booker is he has been improving his playmaking a lot this season, or at least he's attempted to. And I think that's a big part of being a leader, is helping your teammates score. And so I do like Devin Booker a lot. I think in the future he's going to be way up this list. I'm just basing off of right now, and I see him at 6.
Yep. Devin Booker's my 6 as well. He's one of the best scorers in the league. Like you said, he continues to dominate from that side of the ball, even as teams focus on him as a main offensive threat in Phoenix. This season he's had a severe jump in efficiency, shooting the ball from last season as well. And like you said, he's a criminally underrated playmaker. He averaged almost 7 I think it was 6.6, but he averaged almost 7 dimes a night if you round up. Even you forget that Ricky Rubio is on the team sometimes after having to share the playmaking duties with him, one of the best in the game from that aspect. But Booker's also, he's a notoriously pretty bad defender. He hasn't done much winning. But the Suns didn't, if you look, the Suns didn't really have that bad of a season. They're just in the West. But they low-key, they maybe could have made a run at the playoffs. That's kind of a stretch if DeAndre Ayton hadn't gotten suspended early in the season. But who knows? But when people say Devin Booker's got to get out of Phoenix, he's got to get out of there. It's just a losing situation. I think that's a little stupid, because I do think they have something good brewing down there in Phoenix.
Yeah.
With Booker and Ayton, they got some good pieces like Kelly Oubre. But you just have to get the right guys around them. But like I said before, there's so many good teams in the West, so it's easier said than done. And it's also not easy to do when you have a front office making some of the stupidest trades I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Sarver is one of the reasons that people are saying that.
Yeah, they gave away T.J. Warren.
Their office is so bad.
They traded
their owner's terrible too.
They traded DeAnthony Melton and Josh Jackson second picks to the Grizz for Kyle Korver and Javon Carter. So I think that should tell you a thing or two about what's going on in the front office there. But I'll end it off by saying that, the overlying reason that I had Booker over Jaylen Brown is because we've seen that Booker consistently produce at an elite level, and Jaylen Brown's playing with some good players. He's on a good team with Celtics, which is why he's winning more. I think that has a lot to do with it. And then I had him over Donovan Mitchell because his team success hasn't really been entirely on him. But I think those 3 guys over the next few years we're going to hear their names a lot in comparison to each other. So, I mean, we'll just have to see. Time will tell.
Yeah. All right, Patrick.
So I just realized my list is a little messed up because I didn't know we were putting in Klay Thompson until then. But I'll just keep going from what I have. So for my 6, I had Zach LaVine. I know he is absolutely horrible at defending the spot-up shooters, but he's in the 97th percentile in terms of defending the paint for a shooting guard, which is actually quite solid. This last season, he's putting up 26 points a game, 4 assists, 5 rebounds, shooting 45%. So, I mean, I just think it's the team environment. I think he'd be able to lead us like a smaller caliber team that actually had a shot in the playoffs, like, for instance, the Pacers. Like, if he was on the Pacers, I think he could lead them to maybe a 4 or 5 seed rather than the 6 or 7 seed that they're in right now. But I don't know if he himself is a player that would be able to take his team to the championship and, like, be the Klay Thompson of a team or James Harden or whatever. Like,
One would also say Drew Holiday. So quick comparison here. Why do you think he's better than Drew Holiday?
what?
Because he's worse at half of the game in
Well,
every aspect.
Okay, I just think
He has one advantage.
I think his offense is better than Drew Holiday.
Duh.
I mean,
Right,
yeah,
so that
it
means his defense is worse than Drew Holiday, but I think it's
is like one of the worst
significantly-
shooting guards.
significantly worse.
See, like,
Like,
he's
yes,
bad at
Drew
defense.
is the best.
I
His is
understand.
probably the worst.
but how old is Zach LaVine? Zach LaVine, how old is he? Like 20?
It's 25,
24.
I think.
He's 24, I think, or 25. I don't know. But and Drew Holiday's 29. Zach LaVine still has the potential to become a great defender if he actually like works on it. I think so. I think.
Aren't you saying that?
Yeah.
Even aren't you saying that?
My guy.
He's one of the worst playmakers in the NBA. He's one of the worst
No, shut up.
He's still
That's
averaging
not
He
true.
is not one of the worst in the NBA.
He has no
Shut
one to
up.
pass the ball to.
Exactly.
He's
He's
still
only
averaging
Chicago.
4 assists, but
He's
that's
averaging
because
5.
he's like, though he has the ball in his hands the whole game, and who else
Yeah.
is gonna get assists on
I
that team
don't know.
Kobe
Kobe
White.
White.
off the bench?
I think you all just hate on the
Started
Bulls
30, what?
organization.
30-point average in February?
No, I like
Oh,
Zach LaVine.
Catch and
I
shoot,
put him pretty
catch and
high
shoot
up.
guy.
I put him
How
pretty
about
high
that?
up. Just
I mean,
Holiday's
I,
better.
I just don't think that like by the time Zach LaVine is 29, I think he'll have accomplished more than Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Listen, I mean, you can assume that, but
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not by the
I
time
go
he's
more.
29,
I
it's
go
just-
more off facts, and I'm talking. I
Yeah.
don't know. If you did yours more potential wise, then I
Then
guess.
Devin Booker would be all the way up. So would Donovan Mitchell.
No, I did it based on a
guess
little.
if you did.
I was debating whether I should put Drew Holiday or Zach LaVine in front of the other, and I just chose Zach LaVine due to his potential. My entire list isn't based off of potential.
Okay, I get what you mean.
I kind of get that.
It's just a
But still,
factor
I
you're
wouldn't say
putting.
Zach LaVine's better than
I
Drew
don't
Holiday, but I get where you're
close.
coming from.
Yeah.
All right, so for my 6, I also had Zach LaVine. I think that one of the biggest parts of Zach LaVine's game is the fact that he is so clutch. Braden, you kind of talked about
I
it.
like that a
Like,
lot about Zach.
You
The Hornets
watch,
game?
You watch him play, dude. He will shoot from the logo for the win, and like on any team he's on, I think that unless you're talking about like LeBron or like the top guys in the league, I think he'll be the guy that you give the ball to at the end of the game. He's the guy that's going to
For
shoot
sure,
the
for
game-winning shot, and that is such a big part of the game for me, at least.
That's
If you're
a good
going to be a
point.
contender, so that, and I mean his 3 is so good. Like, just he hits them, boom, boom. He'll go on a hot streak. The one thing that holds him back is his defense. I don't know, Patrick, if he's ever going to be even close to Drew Holiday.
Close to average, bro. Let's get
Maybe-
somewhere first.
I think
Close
that
to
you're
acceptable.
you're right that he can grow from a defensive standpoint, but he's not going to be one of the top guys, especially at his position. That's what brings him down so much. Another thing is just the fact that, Payne, you called him one of the worst playmakers. Completely false.
I don't think
He
he's
has
actually-
players on his team. He still facilitates on an ass team like the Bulls. And I mean,
I don't
4
think Devin
assists
Booker's
is not
teammates
bad.
are insane compared to the Bulls. And he's in the
DeAndre
West,
Ayton is
so it's
better
hard
than everybody on the Bulls.
to
But
play.
Aaron Baines.
Those are two.
Aaron Baines got a
Billy
torch.
Brad.
I like Aaron Baines.
I can't
But
believe I didn't even
still
mention.
think that some of the Bulls guys are pretty good. Larry's
they
good.
can be.
Injured.
Lowry's
out this
injured.
entire season.
Kobe White's been good. I think he does have more potential to be a better player.
I think calling him one of the worst playmakers in the league is really not
One of the
true at
worst
all.
might be wrong, but I do think for the amount of time he has the ball, I guess, in his hands, he doesn't pass it very
Yeah,
well.
Kobe White still averaged 2.7 assists. So, like, who else on that team is going to get you dimes? Like, if Zach LaVine has the
Facts.
ball in his hands, I'm not saying he's one of the worst playmakers, but I think his stats definitely.
He
There's
has
room
so
for
much more
improvement
potential.
for sure.
From
Don't
a
get me
Like
wrong.
I
offensive
said,
standpoint, he has so much
there's
more.
room for improvement.
There's room for improvement. I
defensively.
agree with Patrick on some of those. Not defensively, like you said.
I think
but-
if he improves his lateral quickness, he could be a pretty good perimeter
Just
defender.
going
Bro,
off
he's
2K.
so-
2K.
2K. It's
He's
not
so
2K.
fast. What do you mean?
I'm not
Okay,
saying
let's
it-
just let's
We'll
just
move on, but
move
I have
on.
him at 6. As a Bulls fan, I
We
think
can-
that his offense is incredible. His defense needs work, and that's why he's at 6. All
we
right.
can just agree to disagree, I guess, then
we
Patrick.
go.
But Patrick
All
or Peyton, 5.
Bro, coming up at 5. I mean, this hurt. I'm gonna be honest. I'm debating switching it right now just because I'm thinking about it more.
Last
But I
minute
put
change.
Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday's cold. I mean, like he can take over games. Like, whenever there's injuries on the Pelicans, like
Take over games?
he has takeover games. He had a 40-piece
Hold
against
on.
the Pacers, won that game for us.
I hate to interrupt you, but does this mean that you have Donovan Mitchell over Drew Holiday?
I think Donovan Mitchell's better than Drew Holiday. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I do.
He's so good. Dude, you didn't watch the game. Him and Brandon Ingram were going back and forth.
Hey,
the
stop.
entire-
The
Stop
Jazz
bringing
are
up
my
one
second
game.
favorite team. Like I'm not
He-
gonna isn't like not like there's bias there. Like my
I
second
think
favorite
he's
team.
cold. Donovan Mitchell is cold.
Yes, I didn't know. He has a 6'10" wingspan. Donovan Mitchell. He's 6
Donovan
like
Mitchell
1.
is raw.
That's insane.
I
Alright.
love Donovan Mitchell. We'll get into that later. But Drew Holiday's just,
Peyton.
guys are injured. He's going to step up. He's a great leader. He's one of the few established players in New Orleans. I feel like he's kind of what helped build the chemistry towards the end of the year. He's really been a great leader for a lot of the younger guards we have. I mean, honestly, just his general presence on the team. Like every year he worked out with Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis gained like 20 pounds working out with him. He worked out with Jahlil Okafor. Jahlil Okafor lost like 20 pounds working out with him. And I just think he's really a great team guy. And at every single step, even during the offseason, he's trying to improve the team and the culture. And he's one of the most underrated guys. I mean, the fact that
He
he's
is
a guard in
underrated.
the West makes it really hard for him to make the All-Star team.
Yeah.
But his defense is just elite. Like he'll win a game solely off of his defense. Like I remember this year, kind of at the beginning of the year, it was Paul George's like second game back or whatever. And Drew only had 1 steal going in the fourth quarter, and he ended up having 5 all on Paul George in the fourth quarter, and stealing that game for us. And I think he had like 30. Like he just has the ability to take over games, on a defensive and offensive, I guess, front, which is I think what makes him super impressive as a player. And I think these guys above him, I guess, can do kind of the same thing, but he does it at such a high level on both ends. And he's one of the few guys on this list as a shooting guard that his defense is probably better than his offense, and it's not like his offense is bad.
Mhm.
And so that's why I have him here. But Drew Holiday really is. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA, and it hurt me to put him at 5. But, if I made this list a little bit more biased, probably have him like 3.
Yeah, 3. All right.
Okay.
Patrick. Or I mean,
All right. My number 5 also Drew Holiday.
I was
He's
hoping to have him higher, bro. I was hoping for him to be in someone's top 4, but I just
I
couldn't do
mean, he's a guy I hate to love. I really love him as a player, but he's a Grizzly killer. So
it. Him and Nico Melli.
yeah, okay. Drew Holiday. Yeah. Drew Holiday is, and he has been one of the most underrated players in the NBA for quite some time now. He saw a bit of a production decrease this year with the arrival of Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Zion Williamson, but he's still been incredible for that Pelicans team. He like you kind of said, Peyton, you kind of touched on this, but he has like a killer mentality, and he does like the little things on and off the court, and he plays to win on both sides of the ball. He's an elite two-way player. He's a great playmaker. He benefits his teammates with his veteran leadership, and his contagious motor, which was evident when he played out of his mind when he was on that team that obviously they swept the 3 seed Blazers. I'm surprised he didn't say anything about that.
No,
yeah, I am too.
I just figured I'd already talked about it so
You
much.
talk about it,
Dude,
so-
he is so he had 45 he averaged like 30-something that series. And he also only allowed Dame Lillard like 34, I think. It was either 33 or 34% shooting and like 12 points. Like he's an elite defender, and he did all that while scoring.
Mhm.
Just his general motor as a basketball player is insane. He doesn't quit on either end like a lot of the stars do today.
That's when Drew Holiday I think that was like a really big part in the next step, at least for me, of like seeing him play on like that high of a level on that stage. And I think that, like I said, his leadership and his motor is perfect for this young up and coming New Orleans Pelicans team. Now this year, unfortunately, he couldn't help the Pelicans win when it mattered the most this season.
Really?
On the outside looking in, But all jokes aside, Drew Holiday, he has a lot of good years left. He's only 29, so if the Pelicans can hang on to him, if they do want him to be a veteran leader in the years to come, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, if they can hang on to him, he's gonna be huge for him. But if he leaves, he's still gonna have a immeasurable impact wherever he goes. Love Drew Holiday.
I will say I really hope we hold on to him, but I hope the contract isn't an issue because we got to sign Lonzo, Ingram.
Yeah, you got a lot of money to pay a lot of people.
I want Drew Holiday to stay so bad.
He seems like one of those guys who
he's one of those guys that like if he keeps playing for us, I want his jersey like retired. He's
that guy
so well. Like, and we don't really have a jersey retired at all actually in New Orleans. So
you don't?
Cool for him to be because he's the face of the Pelicans really.
Yeah.
For these last couple of years, outside of Anthony Davis, he's the only one that's kind of been consistent.
Yeah. What's weird about Drew Holiday is like he's only 29, but I feel like I've heard his name for so long. Like he's been
hear him getting steals and scoring.
I know what you mean. Archie. He's like been in the league for a minute.
It feels like I just feel like Drew Holiday is just like I feel like he's so old when he's actually pretty young still.
It's probably because I talk about him all the time.
Probably, yeah.
I've heard his name a lot. All right, Patrick, who's your number 5?
I have Donovan Mitchell for my number 5, just because he's 23, making the All-Star team in his third season, dropping 24 points a game, and also Peyton for Drew Holiday's like when he was on the court, the defensive rating for the Pelicans was 111. When Donovan Mitchell was on the court, his defensive rating with the Jazz is 111. So not like that means anything, just a little perspective.
ESPN stats right there.
It doesn't. Yeah, I was about to say. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Holiday had to play half the season with Jackson Hayes as the primary center who weighs less than Brandon Ingram. So it's tough.
Okay, all right.
That's not an easy thing to do. That's really like, if you think about it,
that is so hard to do. When that center scores every single possession, and then you have to put Jahlil Okafor in, who is a negative vertical, you can't do anything about that. Any team just throws it inside to the center.
Okay.
And also the Jazz are a really good defensive team too, so it makes them look a lot better with Conley and Gobert.
Yeah, the Jazz's defense in general is incredible.
That's true.
Jingling Joe Ingles too. He can clamp up a Paul George.
I mean, they got the defensive player of the year for the last 2 years too.
Yeah. They got a lot of guys.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. But, yeah, that's my 5.
That's the most solid, I would say.
All right, my 5, I had Drew Holiday. We've kind of talked about him a lot, so I'll keep it short and sweet. But his defense is probably the best on this shooting guards list. I mean, I don't know how hot of a take that is, but his defense is elite.
It's like a negative take.
His scoring is not awful at all. It's good for some it's not bad. I feel like if you put him on another team, he would be even better. Like, he's that guy. And while he's on the Pelicans, like you said, Peyton, not a lot of assets this season in general to throw it to. And I think that's why he's 5. Kind of touched a lot on that, so we'll just go ahead and move on to 4.
I think if Drew Holiday gets traded due to his contract, I think a place where he would be really good is in Brooklyn alongside Kyrie.
Oh my God,
that would be like him as a third star there because they are looking for that third star, and if they can bring him in, maybe sign
especially
Serge Ibaka,
the third star as well as a dude.
Yeah, and then they have Jared Allen too. It depends on what they trade for him. Probably Karis LeVert or something like I was talking about. Karis LeVert's a good trade piece. I know you wouldn't be against that. I don't know for the future, but he would be so nice. Like that
Let's
big
got paid, though. Actually, Karis LeVert got paid a lot, so I don't know how I feel.
If Karis LeVert was on the Pelicans, he would be at least in the top 10 for Peyton.
Oh, dude, of course. Lonzo was in my honorable mentions last time.
Facts. All right.
Going into 4.
Yep, going 4. All right, so I got a feeling I'm going to get I've got Donovan Mitchell higher than 4. I've got Paul George. The reason I say Paul George, I love his versatility. I think
have Paul George at 4.
Yeah, I love him so much. He would be 2 if this was last year. I just think the shoulder injury this year kind of hurt him. His efficiency dropped a lot, and I don't like watching him. Last year he was so electric, and this year I just don't feel the same sort of energy with the shoulder injury. And it's really just taken him a while to get back, and I'm really hoping he can, but I don't feel like I saw him get back to full form. And it honestly looked like he was a little slow to start the year too. I think once he gets his conditioning as well as his shoulder right, he'll be probably 2 on this list.
Yeah.
I love Paul George as a player. He's one of my favorite players, growing up and on that Pacers team. And I really love Paul George. I can't put him that high up when I haven't seen him recover yet from this injury.
I mean, he also is kind of, he's playing with a lot more scores this year than he was
Yeah,
last
and the
year.
load management for me is tough. It's hard for me to get behind. I just want to see him kind of come back a little bit because I'm not seeing as much kind of, honestly, even athleticism from him. I just feel like he needs to get his legs kind of back under himself, and feel like he spent a lot of the off season, chilling a little bit since he had that shoulder. Of course, he does work hard. He's a really hard worker, and I think he's a great player for the future. So I that's not a knock on him at all. It's just a knock on him and his shoulder currently.
All righty. My number 4, I had Bradley Beal. I'm just going to start off by reading a quote from Beal. He said, I think this was like relatively recent. This was in the last few months. But he said, I couldn't care less about the numbers. They're great. I'm playing at an unbelievable level. I'm happy with my growth for sure, but I'm also disappointed because there's another area in which I need to grow in, and that's winning. And that's the end of the quote. And then, but we saw what Bradley Beal can do alongside a healthy John Wall, and that was a great duo. But they too, like so many other teams in the East, could never get over the hump of LeBron James. The last couple of seasons, John Wall has been injured, obviously. Bradley Beal has been handed the keys to the Wizards, basically being the only, guy who's consistently there and the only, really good player, where he's pretty much put up empty stats and lost games. He averaged 31, 4, and 6 this season, which is incredible numbers, but he still wasn't an all-star. And I guess that has to do a lot with the fact that he's on a bad team. But, Trae Young made the All-Star game, but, that's
Trae Young's just popular, just the fan vote.
One thing I want to say about kind of hopping over that, hump in the East, Isaiah Thomas, let's be honest, he's a pretty small hump, to say the least. I like that Celtics team a lot, but,
Small hump.
I could jump over Isaiah. I could jump over that.
You could vert over him.
I can't even.
I could box jump.
I don't even want to get into it, bro. I like Isaiah Thomas a lot, actually, on that team. But I do think that loss that year, if they win that series, Bradley Beal would have been higher on my list.
For sure.
If he had lost to LeBron, that he's higher up on my list. I just think that loss to the Celtics kind of hurt him.
Yeah.
And generally, as a player, I'm sure Devin Booker's I don't really care about my stats. I want to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got the stats.
Yeah, everyone wants to do that.
But everyone wants to win. No one wants to be on a losing team. And I respect him for sticking with them for as long as he has.
Yeah, he's a loyal dude.
I really do like Bradley Beal. I couldn't put him higher than Booker because Booker has more room to improve on an all-around basis than Beal does, and Drew is just a significantly more consistent defender. But actually, all those guys for me were interchangeable.
Yeah, I know you had Bradley Beal low on your list, and I was kind of I think for kind of the reasons you did were similar to last episode where I put Trae Young pretty low. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Bradley Beal has been at it a lot longer, but one of y'all is probably, or someone's probably thinking that sounds a lot like Trae Young, who's super low on my point guards list. Why do I have Beal at 4 here? I would say, we've seen. Or like I said, we've seen that Bradley Beal can produce on good teams, and Trae is still young, no pun intended, and simply hasn't won anything yet. I mean, so hopefully when everyone's healthy in DC, Beal and the Wizards can make some noise again. Bradley Beal is my guy.
I hope so too. That was a super fun team to watch.
And then they got some good pieces. Like they got Rui, Hachimura, Thomas.
Don't
Bryant.
sleep on Bertans. Don't sleep on Bertans.
Bro, Bertans is
a killer, bro.
I don't know if he can stay in the Wizards with everybody healthy, he's gonna be such a nice piece.
Cold.
And then they got Troy Brown Jr., who not
honestly,
a lot of people.
I think what the Wizards
they got a lot of guys.
Kind of going off on a tangent here. Is Thomas Bryant their center right now? Because they need a center. Because
he's not bad.
No, but think about it. Marcin Gortat thrived with John Wall, and now he's out of the league.
It's
get an above average center instead of Thomas Bryant. I'm just saying,
Thomas Bryant
pick and roll game was elite.
Yeah, with John Wall, any center can look like.
Dude, I had Marcin Gortat, bro.
He made and then Marcin Gortat left. He went to the Clippers, and then boom, he's out of the league.
He's out of the league.
Yeah, exactly. But
John Wall's cold.
I think Thomas Bryant could be I think he's a really, really, really underrated guy just because he's
I mean,
been winning.
I like him.
And he can be more of a lob threat, I think, than
Gortat.
Mark Gortat was. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I really definitely want to see how that works.
I love that Wizards pick and roll. It used to be one of my favorite things to watch.
All right.
I hope John Wall can come back healthy, too. He's so fun to watch.
Oh, he's
right.
got to have the same speed coming back, I hope.
Patrick, you want to go ahead and say your 4?
Yeah, I'm just going to combine my 4 and 3 so my list gets straight because adding in one more at the late. But I had Devin Booker and Bradley Beal at around the same position. I couldn't tell. I couldn't really decide which one to put above the other just because, they both have insane numbers, but they both can't win just due to the culture around them. But I think I would put Bradley Beal just one step higher than Devin Booker because once John Wall gets back, they're going to start winning. And I just don't know how many years it's going to take for the Suns to, actually take advantage of their talent and whatnot. And their GM and front office is horrific. So, yeah, so that was just mine.
I understand that. I would say that I think you could make an argument for.
I really think that if the Suns can draft a really athletic point guard to pair alongside with I guess athletic and defensively a good point guard in the draft, they could find a guy like that would bring them up to the next level. I don't really know who the most athletic point guard is. I think it might. Yeah, I don't really know. I got to look a lot more into it.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into the draft at all. I just know that Cole Anthony's a name, and I don't think he's
LaMelo Ball.
The Suns are gonna have the Suns almost made the freaking playoffs. They were the 9 or no, they weren't the 9. They were the 12 seed or something. But they still had a high record in comparison to all the other East teams. So they'll have 10th or 11th pick, probably
from the chances.
Yeah, and then the Grizzlies and the Pelicans last year had they were I think they had the second or third worst odds to land the first and second pick, and then they did
a 4% chance.
Yeah, I mean, so with a lottery, you never know what can happen.
All I know is the Bulls are going to get the 7th pick again, but that's for another day.
I feel bad for y'all.
Yeah,
I feel bad for y'all.
I mean, but our drafting's been good. Kobe White, Lowry, Wendell Carter's been good. We've had some good drafting. Just not good picks per se from a position wise. But going into my 4, I actually did exactly what Patrick did because I kind of had a late addition with Clay, and I kind of stuck Devin Booker and Bradley Beal together. I think it's kind of a similar situation if you want to think about it like that, just from the fact that they're putting up really good numbers. But almost identical to what Patrick said, they can't exactly win. I think that they both maybe Bradley Beal has a chance to perform a lot better from a winning perspective, but Devin Booker has much more potential than Bradley Beal just from he's younger, he's a little bit more spry. So I think that that is why I had to put them together just because Clay messed up my list when I put them in. But other than that, that's where I have them at 4. So,
all right, let's go ahead and move up to 3. I at 2, I've kind of a controversial guy, but I have Clay at 3. I really like Clay a lot.
Oh, you have Donna. Damn.
I like Clay a lot, bro. I like Clay a lot, but I want to see how he plays after this injury. He's a championship caliber guy. Of course, he's not the main guy on his team, but he contributed to a dynasty, which I think is very valuable. You could make an argument for him, honestly, maybe even at 1, just with the number 1 guy's lack of, really beating the Warriors, his inability to beat the Warriors. So you can make an argument for him at 1. I just think the 2 guys ahead of him, me personally, when I watch the 2 guys ahead of him, I've seen more from them, although I will say I did watch the Headband Clay game, and that was kind of elite. But I really like Clay. I just want to see how he comes back from the injury before I rate him higher than the top 2 guys.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that you haven't said Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. Y'all have him really high. I mean, y'all might be seeing
I'll give you my reasoning when we get there, but I will say I don't watch every Jazz game. I've watched some ones where he has played very well, though.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get there.
I mean,
that's
I had him
a big kind of factor in potential for him a little bit.
I had him at 7 too.
Yeah, I had Beal at 7, so.
I thought y'all would have Mitchell a lot lower, so I didn't give a lot of reasons why I didn't have him higher. I just compared him to Booker and stuff. But yeah, my number 3, I had Paul George.
Respectable.
Paul George, he's one of the best two-way players in the league. He's a great defender, and he gets his steals. He can also score whenever he wants. As one of the league's best three-point shooters, he has crafty handles. He's an unbelievable athlete, but he's had a little bit of an injury problem this season. He was like on again, off again. We never really got to see the Clippers team like in full strength, which was kind of sad because either Kawhi was out or Paul George was out at one time. But what'd you say?
Kawhi? It was just a Kawhi
Oh,
reference.
I didn't. I thought you like cut out or something. But yeah, last year Paul George.
Joke was that bad, Peyton.
Yeah, I know it was. All right, that's why I didn't say it loud. It was just kind of a little mental reference. Kawhi's a baller, though. I watched him drop 40 on the Pels.
There you go. But yeah, Paul George. Yeah, last year he was playing out of his mind. In OKC, he was the third in MVP votes, and a lot of people don't remember that. But they just, they too couldn't get over that playoff hump, and he got traded to the Clippers. This year his minutes and his points decreased dramatically. And some of that could be attributed to the injury, but I think, like I said, I kind of hinted at this before, but it has a lot to do with the fact that he's now on the deepest team in the NBA. I don't really think it's an argument. The Clippers are the deepest team in the NBA. He went from it just being him and Russ running the show in Oklahoma City, but now in LA, he's got to share the ball with Kawhi, Lou Will, Montrezl Harrell, Landry Shamet, Marcus Morris, like Reggie Jack, like a ton of other guys. But he basically sacrificed his stats for wins, even though he was traded and really didn't have a say. But there's no doubt that he's still at that same dominant player that has an unbelievable impact on the floor. And depending on where he goes from his injury, I wish we could have seen how that unfolded a little more before the season got canceled. But like if he was an MVP candidate last year, I don't know. I can't put him like lower than 3.
No, I totally agree with that. I will say though, one thing really fast. It's for another time. But I don't know if I would say consensus like deepest team in the league. I feel like there's some other pretty deep teams.
But like if you look at the bench, like I don't know. I mean the Nuggets are pretty deep too.
No,
there's a lot
of it's not consensus though. Some people say other stuff. I do agree they are the most deep. I just don't think it's like no argument to make.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Well, apparently we only have 2 minutes left in this meeting again, so
we might have to take another little break.
Might have to take another little break, but we'll go a little bit further. Let's finish 3. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. For 3, I had Paul George. Mainly, I hate load management. I hate it. I hate the Clippers. I don't know. I just hate the Clippers. But he absolutely balled out last year with OKC, dropping 28 a game, league leader in steals. I honestly, I don't know why OKC traded him away. But, I mean, they're rebuilding. Their team has been incredible this year. They're projected to be, I don't know, how many wins were they supposed to get? Circa 20, 30, and they're outperforming themselves incredibly. But back to Paul George. He averaged 21 in his 42 games that he played. So not terrible when you have Kawhi, even though I don't know how many times he played with Kawhi.
I don't think they ever played together. Like, they might have played, like –
I think they played a couple times. Yeah. But
they played the Lakers together.
That's why I didn't have him higher. I do not like the load management concept and everything, but that's just why I'm at 3.
All right.
You got to go kind of fast.
I know. I see. All right. I also have Paul George at 3. I think everything he does is great. He's got everything. The shoulder injury, we'll have to see what happens with that. But I think if the playoffs were to happen, which I think they will, but if they happen, I think him and Kawhi are going to absolutely dominate. They haven't shown exactly 100% of their defensive capabilities, especially because of the outbreak, the quarantine, and then the injuries and the load management. We haven't really seen them together.
Yeah, when the playoffs come.
Yeah, when playoffs are here, it's gonna. I honestly think the Clippers are gonna like ball out. Like, it'll be fun to see everyone
together. When they play the Lakers, they don't have a home court. It's all Laker fans.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only.
They're getting a new court too. Did you see that?
Yeah,
I'm really excited. I'm gonna end this meeting and then we'll be back. All right.
All I'm trying to say is Donovan Mitchell at 2 is not a hot take. So we were on Patrick at 3, I'm pretty sure.
No, we weren't. We finished it
No,
out.
we just finished 3.
Oh, we finished
2.
You're on
2, bro. I don't have enough ready for Donovan Mitchell at 2. I did this super quickly. All right, hold up. I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
Procrastinator. What? Did you hear that?
I had to work all day. The thing didn't upload. I played basketball a little bit. It's just, I had to celebrate by playing basketball.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, so we're back again, of course. The Zoom limit's kind of killing us so far. But at number 2, I've got a hot take. It's been mentioned earlier, and I'm rocking with Donovan Mitchell. You know, this is a very, very hot take. I personally, I swear, every single time I watch Donovan Mitchell play, he is absolutely elite. He had like 45 against the Pelicans this year and just went back and forth the whole game. Like he was the only reason the Jazz were even in the game. His mid-range game is so improved. He has this little like 1-2 step between the legs. He doesn't miss it. Like I've watched like I think 3 Jazz games this year. He's gone for 30 plus every game. I remember he had a game winner against the Rockets in the playoffs to stay alive. I think they were gonna get swept. I'm pretty sure it was a game 5 against the Rockets, and he hit a game winner, and that was just I watched that game. Of course, that's the one game in that series I watched. I just
Maybe you're just good luck for Donovan. Maybe he just plays well when you want.
I gotta be a good luck charm for him because the man is.
Because it sounds like you watched a Donovan Mitchell highlight video on YouTube.
So good. Oh, I watched that too. I love Donovan Mitchell. He's electric. He's one of my favorite guys to watch, honestly. And I mean, I didn't put Booker's potential over Drew right now, but Donovan Mitchell's potential, I feel like, is higher than Booker's. Honestly, I like just his ability to like on the defensive end and to shift laterally as a unit. I feel like he's learned a lot from some of these defensive veterans as well as some great coaching.
I don't think he's that good of a defender, and I feel like
I'm saying the potential as a defender.
Okay, but I still feel like you're kind of overrating him, especially at 2, because like
I understand this might be a bit of an overrate, and I understand that Clay is more established and better here, but the potential for Donovan Mitchell is just insane. He already improved so much this season. I feel like that's something people don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
The amount that he has in his bag this year compared to last year is just absurd. He's making 3-point shots that are like incredibly contested, fading away. Just all that he added to his arsenal this year is very underappreciated. And if he improves this much every season, he's gonna be one of the best in the league.
All right.
And
well,
I know he's got a great supporting cast around him to kind of help him, but I still think just with the potential there and kind of, I guess, the willingness to work as well as his winning attitude and just generally he just wins. Like he doesn't accept kind of these losses. I guess that I'm not saying that these other guys are accepting losses. He has a great team around him. But I feel like
coronavirus coming
when
out.
he just wins, you know, he just wins.
He just wins, and that's
Okay,
that.
well, that's
There's
fair
no
enough.
going around
But like you said, definitely a hot take.
It's a hot take.
But I
just
did my list more. Yeah, I did my list more off just kind of right now, and I guess you kind of for Donovan Mitchell, you kind of went potential wise a little bit there, but I thought having him at 7 would be like where all y'all would have him. So I really didn't like educate myself on the fact of defending him being worse than like all you guys said. So I didn't really prepare for that. I didn't really expect that. But yeah, I guess for my number 2, I'll go ahead and go. I had Klay Thompson. Klay is one of my freaking favorite players. I love Klay Thompson so much. Like he's just such a charismatic guy, just like on and off the court. Like I don't know. I don't know why, but he's just like a guy that's always stuck out to me. Obviously,
got a similar play style to him, low key.
I don't know, man. That might be it. That might be
Klay
it.
2.0.
Yeah, but like, I guess related to me, he's a top 3 shooter of all time, and it's usually pretty useful to have on your team, you know. But he's also a very good defender, making him one of the best 3-and-D guys that the league's ever seen. He can put on huge scoring performances quietly. Like you'll just be watching a Warriors game, and you'll just look at the box score, and you'll be like, "Holy crap, Klay has 40." But you know, this year he had to watch the Warriors suck from the bench. He was hurt all season with a torn ACL, and you know those are not easy to recover from. But people usually say it's just Steph's team, the Warriors. But if Klay Thompson hadn't torn his ACL,
they would have won.
In Game 6 of the Finals last season, I think the Warriors would definitely beat Toronto for sure. That's how big of an impact that Klay has.
Yeah, one thing I want to add really fast is like that Warriors team when Klay's on the court, and really Steph too, they're never out of a game because they can go on like 12-0 runs on their own. Like they'll make 4 straight threes and then they're up by 6.
Yeah,
it's
like I said,
you cannot count them out when they're down by 20 in the fourth quarter. That you just can't.
For sure.
Like they can come back at any time, and Klay's a massive part of that.
And then
to end
Klay's had a heck of a history too so far in his career. He's helped build one of the biggest dynasties in NBA history, the Warriors, and he's just a winning player. and through all that, he still managed to average 20-plus points per game alongside guys like Steph Curry, who won he was a back-to-back – or, he won MVP twice. Kevin Durant, Harrison Barnes is a good scorer, Draymond, Iggy, a lot of other guys throughout the years. But I really hopefully he can come back full strength because he's one of my favorite players to watch in the league, like I said. But, yeah, that's my case for Clay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I will say Clay is a significantly better case that you can make than Donovan Mitchell. I'm really I don't know what it is when I watch him, but every time I watch him, he seems to pop off. And I just really like his game, honestly, as a whole. And I will say it is more well-rounded than Clay's, but Clay's is just – the shooting is elite. Like, you can't argue with that. So
that's just like – yeah.
I
and
honestly
think on an impact standpoint, I think that Clay and Drew Holiday both have probably out of all the shooting guards in the league, they are like the most beneficial to have on their floor because they're not always going to demand the ball, but they're going to still like get you 20 whenever you need it.
Yeah,
and like, if they need to demand the ball, they can, especially Clay.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick.
For sure.
So for my number 2, I had James Harden. And
I knew you were going to do that. You're talking so much trash about him in the chat. You were doing that.
Okay, this is a little bit because
absolute clown.
One,
I can't believe it.
I take efficiency into account a lot, and I also don't like James Harden. I think he's a ball hog, but also
bias.
When you don't like him, okay, 2, not 1.
So how can we be talking about bias when Peyton literally? Okay, whatever. Anyway,
I had your Holiday 5. That's about where everyone else.
You had Lonzo in the honorable mentions for point guards.
Okay, that's honorable mentions. That's not
okay. Look,
as much weight. Is putting like the MVP.
James Harden is assisted on like 20%. Okay, 11% of his 3-pointers and 20% of his 2-pointers. And with Russell Westbrook on his team, who averaged 7 assists a game last season, but he was the assist leader the 2 seasons before that. What?
Stat padding.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's debatable because he had no one else on his team to pass to, or that would pass to him.
That's also very debatable. But okay, please go.
Okay, and then so if you look at the stats. The Warriors – I know the Warriors are an elite team, and the Rockets aren't the best offensive team in the league, but they have insane shooters. Like P.J. Tucker in himself is a good shooter. Russell Westbrook.
But yeah, he's insane, isn't he?
Okay, thank you. Just because
6'5", run and center.
Okay.
Center.
One of the
offensive rating with Klay Thompson is 116, and with Harden it's only 104. And I take into account a lot of the ball hogging that Harden does.
Numbers like that, you can't
just
apply that to the argument. You can't just say, this number's higher, he's better.
Okay, and also Klay Thompson's efficiency in terms of field goal percentage are significantly better than James Harden. And I know James Harden's putting up insane, a ton of shots a game. Like, he's averaging much more points a game than Klay Thompson is, but he's also averaging 6 more free throws than Klay Thompson is. So you have to take that into account as well.
Well, that's because he gets to the free throw line and drives. That's not a knock against him.
See, but he only averages 61% at the rim, while Klay Thompson averages 70%. So that's also a big difference.
Klay Thompson also doesn't take shots at the rim.
Exactly.
Klay Thompson does take shots.
Klay Thompson's not going to take contested shots. Like, he's going to cut and get open for a layup. Like, he's not shooting half the shots that James Harden.
His efficiency is better than James Harden.
He also – okay.
I think that if the Rockets were to trade James Harden for Klay Thompson, I think the Rockets would do better than what they're doing right now. That's just my opinion.
I strongly disagree with you there.
That's just my opinion. I knew there was gonna be conflict in this.
I mean,
what's up, Daddy?
Bro, that is.
He said, "What's up, Daddy?"
Okay, I knew there was gonna be conflict in this, and so I prepared for it. And then I didn't know it was gonna be a 3v1 over here.
Patrick, you can have an opinion. Dude. You can have an opinion, but if it's wrong like yours,
bro.
Okay, your opinion is wrong.
So let's just get this straight really fast. So James Harden, the guy that averaged, I'm pretty sure the most points ever in a season, right? Am I correct in that statement? While doing that, I don't know.
Didn't Will average 50?
Close, not Will. Okay, recently.
ABA merger after then, whatever.
Yeah, after. Okay. He did that while also averaging 7.5 assists.
But why isn't he winning championships?
Because he has to go to the Warriors.
Dynasty. He should have won a championship if Chris Paul didn't hurt his hamstring.
That's a big point.
I don't agree with that.
That's a big point that I have.
They were up 3-2.
I still think the Warriors would have won.
I think
if Chris Paul was injured game 7, I know. Was he injured game 6?
6 and 7.
6 and 7. If he played in those games, he would have made the finals. Like the odds of like
would have made the finals.
they had
And
two shots to
honestly,
win it.
He
He
might have had a
still
better
would have lost
shot
to
than beating
LeBron. It doesn't matter. He still would have lost to LeBron. It
No,
doesn't
the
matter.
Warriors beat LeBron that year. I think that they would have had.
I do not think that the Rockets would have had a shot against,
It would have gone to 6 or 7.
but they still would not have won a championship.
I don't
But
know.
again, it's
I think it
LeBron
would've been
James.
Close. I think it would
Yeah,
have.
it is LeBron
Would have been
James.
close.
You have to take
It
that
would've
into
been
account
close,
as well.
bro. It would have been
Okay.
close.
I don't. I like Klay Thompson. I like him enough to the fact that where I'd put him above James Harden.
Compared to
Yeah,
James
I like
Harden,
Drew Holiday, but that doesn't mean he's better than
I
James
compared
Harden. Harden doesn't
compared to
play-
James Harden, Klay Thompson's a role player compared to James Harden.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Like, if
The
we're
amount
talking
that he
about it,
has
it's
the ball
not
in
even
his
close.
But
hands,
I think the
Klay
reason
cannot perform at that
why the Rockets can't go to the finals at all is because
because
James
of the
Harden.
Warriors.
It's because James Harden is a ball hog.
It's because they don't have the best players around them.
Yeah, I'm
they're-
sorry.
there's-
Anytime
there's-
that's starting
Also,
defense-
I
Their
do not,
third bet-
I do not
there's-
know how much this small ball will continue now that they traded Clint Capella to the Hawks.
It's not about small ball.
Okay,
It's
it
about-
doesn't matter. I just think that in the future, I do not think that they will ever get close to.
That
I'm
doesn't
gonna
mean
go
James
back-
Harden's not good.
I'm gonna
I-
go back to what you're saying about James Harden's teammates. Because the year he played point guard, that was before he had Chris Paul. His second best player was Ryan Anderson.
He's a
Yeah,
baller.
Mans is a baller.
Ryan Anderson.
Forge.
But yeah,
Actually, really like
what is
Ryan.
he doing except for just hitting threes, man? You can't say that Ryan Anderson, like having him as the
Okay,
second best player.
I completely agree with your argument that.
But
Harden
then
was better.
once Chris Paul came, they started playing so much more, like so much better. And then I think trading for
Okay, so
Russell
Chris
Westbrook
Paul.
was a mistake. And
It was.
that's obviously evident now. They gave
I
away
agree.
so many picks. Chris Paul's arguably doing a better job than Russell Westbrook is now. But that's
I
not the
agree.
point I'm trying to make. I'm saying that you can't like bring like Harden's success into an account when he hasn't had half the teammates that.
No,
Klay
I
Thompson
agree
has.
with you completely, and I agree with your argument. I agree that there is an argument, and it's probably a stronger one that Harden is better than Klay Thompson. But just my opinion in itself is that Klay Thompson is better than Harden, and I completely understand. I think that the majority of people would say that Harden is better than Klay Thompson, and I know
Well,
all three of you.
it's
would.
Go back to your opinion
Explain
is wrong.
why. Yeah, explain why.
I already explained why. I just think that Klay Thompson's efficiency and the fact that James Harden is a straight ball hog. I think that if he like had
You could
role
say the
players-
same thing about Michael Jordan. He shoots like 30-some shots a game. Like
Okay,
he's
that's
efficient,
different,
but he
though.
shoots 30-something shots a game.
Are you if Klay
Klay
Thompson?
has a better 3-point percentage, and I'm sure a better percentage at the rim, but that doesn't mean he's better than Michael Jordan.
I think one could make the argument that if Steph was not on the Warriors and that KD was not on the Warriors, that Klay Thompson would be putting up arguably better numbers than James Harden.
I think
argue
that's
disagree.
yeah, I think that's fair, but he's not in that position. I mean, like we can't say that for sure because
You
it
can't just
hasn't-
say, "Oh, well, they're gone
I mean,
now, so
people
he
don't
would be
even
better."
know- Yeah, it's like
And
Klay
stats
Thompson
aren't
doesn't
everything.
get doubled. Klay Thompson doesn't get doubled like Curry does. Like he has way more
That
opportunities.
is true,
on
but
him.
there was a game against the Pelicans where Josh Hart absolutely clamped James Harden. So I think there are those instances where
Clamped?
yes,
He had like 28.
he
I don't
did-
think he got clamped. He just hit
He did
himself
get
in the
clamped.
face with the ball.
Yeah.
That's just a meme.
It's the only
I
reason
remember
that
that.
is remembered is he hit himself.
Yeah,
in
and
the
people
face
are
with the
saying like
ball.
because everyone's like, oh yeah, Josh Okogie clamped James Harden when like it was one play.
Yeah.
Y'all remember that? Because like when he like blocked him like for the
James
the
Harden
third
is
quarter
cold.
buzzer. But like yeah, people are saying if you hold James Harden to under 30 points, you're clamping him up, and that should tell you a thing or two.
Yeah, that's how good he is that under 30 is a really bad night for him.
Yeah,
So,
and it's
like,
not like he's been shooting as much this year either. He's taken less shots, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Especially with Russell Westbrook demanding the
I
ball.
think he's taken less. I'm not 100% sure on that.
he's
but
taken one shot less per game.
that's still a shot less. That's
That
points
is
up
true.
the
still a
table.
shot less, man.
His 3-point percentage
Still
has
a
gone
shot
down.
less.
His field goal percentage has gone down significantly. I just
with his
I think that's because of
style,
Russ.
with
It's
his
Russ.
play
It's gone
style?
down 0.7. It's gone down 0.7.
Or
that
James
is
Harden this
significant
season.
in terms of NBA.
It's not
James
smart.
Harden this season had a stretch of games where he shot pretty poorly. That's just a result of his play style.
I
So
think it's also because of
his-
Russell
his-
Westbrook.
His
I
play
think that
style
has
is
a big
off
part
the
of it.
dribble. I do agree with that. His play style is a lot off the dribble, and when you have a pass for Russell Westbrook's not pass first, but obviously getting all the assists a game, I think it does lower his stats a little bit.
When you have
just really
two
wish they didn't take
ball-dominant
Chris Paul.
players, it's hard to pick one or the other.
Right,
Especially
and
Russell.
Clay off the assist is insane. Like there was that one stat where he had like what?
Well,
7
Harden's not a
threes
catch and
up-
shoot guy. You can't put him in the same
Yeah,
Right,
and
I
Clay
know,
can't
I know.
really
That's-
create his own shot.
Clay
like Harden
can't
can.
create.
Well, we don't. Okay, that's
You do know that because when he has the ball, he's not creating. He's passing it away, then spotting up in the opposite corner.
But why is that not smarter basketball?
Why is that not smarter? Because not every
He's
team has Steph Curry as their point guard
Okay,
to draw
that is
up
true.
the team.
I just like Klay Thompson as a better shooting guard. than James Harden. Like
I like him more. So he's
I
better.
like him
Drew
more.
Holiday should be number one.
I just think he's better. I think he's better.
Dylan Brooks is my favorite shooting guard in the league, so I'm making an edge.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is a valid argument that Klay Thompson is better than James Harden.
I mean, I don't think you've made a valid point yet. So.
I think
That's
I've
cool.
made my valid point.
I think that's cool enough. Okay, we've been
All
on
right,
this for
we
a
have been.
fat
I
minute.
mean, well, this
Peyton,
is the last topic. I've got
Peyton, just tell me why James Harden is better. What you have?
why James Harden's better than.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even.
Why
have,
he's
Well,
your
I
number one.
had Klay Thompson at
He's
2.
your-
Beach.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
Archer didn't even gone.
No.
Dude, I'm sorry. I got
Simon
so
Cross?
carried away. I got so
No,
carried
it's
away
fine.
with this buffoonery.
It's the same
This-
cycle. I have Klay at 2. Basically, the same reasons. I mean, he's part of a dynasty. He grew that. Without Klay, you can make the argument that wouldn't have happened. I mean, he is one of the he's kind of like a staple of the Warriors. Like
Yeah.
his play style is really different from others because he produces at such a high level while at the same time doesn't really dribble, can't really create a shot. He's just got a really high basketball IQ that allows him to get open, and that's why I have him at 2. But we can go ahead and get to 1 with Peyton.
Yeah, I've got Harden at 1. I mean, Harden's just, bro, he's just elite. Like, he's an MVP. He scores at, like, just incredible numbers. And he really did kind of carry that Rockets team before Chris Paul got there. And he's just, I mean, I would say, is a consensus number 1 guy
For me, yeah.
up until about a couple minutes ago. But, I mean, maybe some people do see Klay better. And I don't disagree. Klay's a great player. But, I mean, essentially here, you're arguing, would you rather have a guy that can score off the dribble and take over at the end of a game? I'm not saying Klay can't, but he can't create his own shot. So if he's hot, like, just double. Like, he doesn't – you can't hit a guy cutting through screens all the time if you go over. And he just doesn't receive the same attention James Harden does. And with that, I'll say, if you want to compare him to, like, some of their play styles and how they translate to the NBA, I'd say the second, like, comparison for Klay Thompson would be like a better version of Danny Green almost.
Oh, okay.
What do they do differently? They both play great defense. Don't get me wrong. Both of these guys have been to finals. Like, they're both great players. And they're essential on a finals team, a great 3-and-D guy. But
Klay Thompson is
Harden,
much better than Danny Green.
I mean, they do the same thing. He's probably better.
He's
but
just better at doing the
he's
same
just
thing.
they're very close. I mean, they're both finals caliber guys. But I really think you can't take Harden off of the Rockets and see the same success that the
Bless you.
Rockets have had. And I just yeah, I don't know. Just
7.
Harden is so essential to that team, and really just the NBA as a whole, honestly. Like, he was a culture changer for a little bit, just with his wave.
For sure.
Being kind of an icon with the beard and everything. But
The beard.
I just, like, I didn't even really prepare anything to
Shout
say
out,
about
Alex.
James Harden, just specifically because I thought everyone was going to have him number 1.
All right.
And so I do like Klay a lot, and I really think he is one of the best shooting guards on this list, probably one of the best shooters of all time. Actually, he is one of the best shooters of all time. I just think it's tough to put him ahead of Harden just because of his lack of creation.
All right, Beach.
All right. My number 1, I had Alex Caruso. Nah. I had a little awkward now that y'all have nah. But yeah, James Harden, obviously. As much as people say he makes the Rockets worse and all that, I think it's impossible to not have him as the best shooting guard in the NBA. He led the league in scoring literally the last 3 seasons. One of the best scorers in NBA history. He's a phenomenal playmaker. He led the league in assists when he was playing point guard. He averaged like 11.2. I believe it was the 2016-2017 season. I think he was snubbed of MVP that year. That was the first year Russ averaged triple-double, but I think we could argue that some other time. But he used to be a joke on defense, but he's really improved. I mean, he just has a very questionable play style, like we've talked about, but it just works. They're always one of the best teams in the West. And that, like we said, that year that Chris Paul got injured in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals, if Chris Paul was healthy for Game 7, I believe the Rockets would have beaten Golden State and made the Finals. Don't know what they could have done from there on, but still. I think if the Rockets didn't go the weird direction that they did this season, bringing in
PJ
Russell
Tucker.
Westbrook and running 6'5" PJ Tucker at the center, then they would have been a lot better. But just because, James Harden's so hard to defend, I mean, he's just simply the best shooting guard in the league. And I thought you couldn't argue that, but
Yeah.
I guess
you can try. You can try
Well,
and argue that.
I mean,
I
still,
will
you
say
can't.
another thing about Harden is a lot of people kind of discount the free throws, but like he gets to the free throw line and you can't take that off of his resume. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, without the free throws, he's not there."
He also
Yeah,
travels on every single
really
step
good.
back.
I mean,
How about that?
maybe at the college level.
He's just
I mean,
He's
Michael,
Hall of Fame.
it's all about the
travel.
He's
gather
watching The
step
Last
that he's just
Dance,
kind of
and like half
twisted
the
the
little
rule.
spin moves Michael Jordan does, he doesn't dribble the ball. Like that first step is a travel. So I mean, they're letting the NBA guys do it. But his step back's not a travel if they don't call it. The fouls are fouls if they do call it, and they call that and
A lot.
travels.
Say what you want about him getting to the line,
Yeah.
but like literally
He
drawing a
gets to the
foul like that,
Is
they're
part
not
of the
just going to
game.
be like, oh, he's James Harden, so I guess I'll just give him the call because he's a superstar. But like, it's actually like an art.
Well,
so-
He's also big. Like
Patrick's
he's underrated.
argument has
I mean,
resorted to making
you can't.
weird noises.
Okay,
in the
you
back.
cannot make that. Okay, you can't make that argument to where just because he's a superstar, he doesn't. Okay, look at LeBron. Like, okay, there was one game. There was one instance.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
It helps.
it's not
an
why.
Enormous.
But who's going to get more foul calls, James Harden or some second-round rookie? Or
James Harden.
Nikhil Alexander?
Doesn't even drive
James
to the
Harden.
rim. Like
Exactly, that's my
you
point.
can't make the same argument. He gets all these free throws. Klay Thompson doesn't drive. There's a reason he gets no.
You
free
can't say he's just getting free
Can't
trips
take
to the
away
line.
He does.
He's
drive,
getting
though.
fouled. He's getting
Klay
fouled.
Thompson
It's that
doesn't.
simple.
He's
Doesn't
averaging
drive into
three.
contact.
He's averaging 3 less rim shots than James Harden. Okay, that sounds good. Less per game.
When you make up stats to improve your
I did
argument.
it. I did it. I'm looking at it right
I know. I'm joking.
now.
All right.
Yeah, no, all of his are off backdoor screens because people guard him so closely on the 3-point line. None of those are really contested layups.
All right,
All
so
right.
Patrick, who's your number one?
Yeah, Patrick, numero uno. I think we
Well,
know.
In my opinion, it's Klay Thompson, but based off pure pressure, it's got to be James Harden.
No, it's Klay Thompson.
No,
It's
you're
Kobe
not coming
White,
back from
guys.
that.
I don't know
You're
if
not
you
coming
can't-
back
can't
from that. You're not
change,
coming
bro.
back from that.
You can't change.
I think